So today we're going to cover level 3 practice problems. These are in your foldable that we have started on the last 2 days. So I'm going to give us a little more space to write, and let's see if we can go through this. My suggestion is to start by distributing if you have a power to a power and do that first. That's just what I prefer. Some people like to simplify inside the parentheses first. Either way is fine. So if we have a power to a power right here, that becomes f to the third power and g to the negative second to the third power. So f to the third power, you multiply, you get f to the 9, and you multiply, you get g to the negative 6. Now we still have these other things right here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the product of powers rule right here where you add the exponents. So f to the 9 times f to the 7 becomes f to the 16th. All right, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the g's. So g to the negative 6 times g to the 12th, you add the powers, and you get g to the 6th. And then you also have h, and that's our answer. Let's look at number 2. So on number 2, I'm going to go ahead and distribute the squared. So the squared has to go to everything. So 3 squared is 3 times 3, that's 9. J to the 4th squared, picture that as this. J to the 4th squared, you multiply the powers, so you get j to the 8th. And then 6 squared, 6 times 6 is 36. And then k to the 6th squared, picture it like this. It's a power to a power, so you multiply them and you get k to the 12th. So now 9 over 36 is going to become 1/4. So you have 1 j to the 8th, or just j to the 8th. And on the bottom you have 4k to the 12th. And that's fully simplified because the powers are all positive. There's no zero powers. There's no negative powers. All the numbers are simplified, and there's only one of each letter. All right, on to number 3. Whenever you have a negative, I would really advise you to put this as -1. All right, now let's distribute the square to everything. All right, so put -1 squared, x to the 3rd squared, and y to the 4th squared. So -1 squared is -1 times -1. That's +1. X to the 3rd squared, you multiply the powers, you get x to the 6th. And y to the 4th squared, you multiply the powers, and you get y to the 8th. So you don't have to write the 1, so you get x to the 6th times y to the 8th, and that is your solution. Okay, so on this one with the negative, make it be -1, and now let's distribute the 5th power to everything. So -1 to the 5th, b to the 7th to the 5th, and c to the negative 3rd to the 5th. So now, anytime it's -1 to an even power, that will equal +1. And if it's -1 to an odd power, that will equal -1. So -1 to the 5th, that's an odd power, so it's -1. B to the 7th to the 5th, you multiply b to the 35. C to the negative 3 to the 5th, you multiply it, and you get c to the negative 15. Okay, so now you have a negative, b to the 35th, and c to the negative 15 moves to the denominator, and that will be your answer. So real quick, I just want to show you why it works if it's even. So take if it's -1 to the 4th. That's -1 times itself 4 times. So -1 times -1 is +1. -1 times -1 is +1. And 1 times 1 is 1. But think about if it's an odd number. So let's do like -1 to the 5th. So I just want to show you why this works. So if you do this, -1 times -1 is 1. -1 times -1 is 1. And then you also have this one. So 1 times 1 is 1, times -1 is -1. So even powers make it be +1, odd powers make it be -1.